Hi there, welcome to another book review video. Today I will be reviewing the book named All Quiet on the Western Front. First things first, let's look at the book cover. As you can see, my book is in a bit of a rough shape. That's because I bought it second hand, so it's not brand new. And you're probably wondering why does my book title look a bit weird. It's because the book is not in English, it's in my native language. It's way easier for me to read in my native language. But yeah, as you can see, there's almost like a black window, a portal you could say, and no man's land from World War I. And there are small crosses around here at the bottom of the book, and there's a skull on the back side. So yeah, pretty good if you ask me. I remember back in primary school, in history class, when we were learning about World War I, and our teacher told us, oh, guys, I recommend you to read this book, it's very interesting. But we all just laughed and yeah, we're never gonna read that. But all these years later, and I remembered about this and I picked this book up, I give it a read, and I have to say, it's really good. So if you are watching this, Miss History Teacher, you know who you are. Thank you so much for recommending me this book. I really enjoyed reading it. So, what is this book about? It is set in later years of World War I. The main protagonist is Paul, and he is in the German army on the Western Front. And we follow him, through his daily life on the front, in the trenches, and also behind the lines, and all the struggles that he has to go through, and all the what he does with his friends in his free time when he's not on the front lines, and all the pranks and stuff they do together. And but it also shows the dark side of the war, because the author, Mr. Remarque, he also served in World War I, so a lot of stuff that is written in this book is from his personal experience, and let me tell you, it's quite horrifying reading some of that stuff. And at the start of the book, Paul, the main protagonist, and his group of friends, they are very optimistic, and I think it is in the first chapter that they go visit one of their friends. He's in the hospital, and yeah, they are very optimistic with him. Oh, you're gonna get out soon, you're gonna be healthy again, you're gonna join us, in a couple of weeks everything's gonna be fine. But behind his back, they all know that he has at least a few days left to live, and yeah, he's never coming out of the hospital. And I think that's the turning point for the main protagonist, Paul, that he realizes that life is not so fun. The war, it's a terrible thing, and yeah, it all goes downhill from there. So a funny story about where I was reading this book. You won't gonna believe this, but I read it while I was on my trip to Japan. Yeah, I know, it's a weird combination, a book that's talking about horrors of trench warfare and traveling to Japan, but it was on my plan to read list, and I just picked it up, took it with me on the plane, and flying half of the world to Japan. And yeah, I could probably read it all on the plane flight, because it took 12 hours, it was very long. But they turned off the lights so we could sleep, and I could not read in the dark. I still remember where I was sitting when I finished this book. It was in Osaka, at the Osaka castle. I was sitting on one bench there in the middle of the park. I was watching the beautiful Osaka castle and I was reading this book. Like I said, weird combination, you know, Japan and its beautiful surroundings and environment, and reading a book about trench warfare, but you know. Okay, from this point onward I will be talking about the spoilers of this book, so if you have not read it yet, I suggest you click off this video and come back some other time. This book really gets depressing a lot of times, you know, it shows you the dark side of the war and all that stuff that poor soldiers in World War I and in the trenches had to live through. One great example of, you know, this book going depressing is when the main protagonist Paul and one of his friends are in the hospital, and his friend is, you know, really talking a lot and lively and, you know, making jokes and all that stuff, and he's full of life, and then one day he comes back and without his leg, they amputated it, and it says in the book, you know, that he just went quiet, he lost his life in the eyes, he was just completely different man, like he just lost his self, you know, like realized, you know, oh shit, you know, I will never be the same. And at one point Paul gets sent back home to his family for a short vacation, and it's also kind of depressing, you know, that he gets home and he doesn't know how to live his normal life anymore, you know. It says in the book that he has these bookshelves full of novels, and he liked to read them a lot before the war, but now he just watches them and, you know, he can't get himself to read, he can't get himself to do anything, you know. In his old life he's so used to being a soldier on the front lines and seeing the horrors of the war and all that stuff, and his friends dying and killing enemy soldiers, and yeah, it really changed him. It's also sad, if you think about it, at the start of this book they are this big group of friends, and slowly through the story, one by one, they are each killed in the war or sent to hospital and all that stuff. And in the end only Paul, the main protagonist, and one of his friends are still alive, and that his best friend is wounded, so Paul carries him on his back, and unknown to him shrapnel hits his friend in the head, and you know, when he arrives at the hospital, the doctors there tell him that, you know, your friend is dead, you've been carrying a dead body for the last 10 minutes, and yeah, it's quite depressing if you think about it. In the end he's left all alone on the front, all his friends are dead, you know, his country is losing the war, the army is starving, they are running out of ammo and materials and essential supplies and all that stuff, and yeah, at the end of the book it's revealed that he died. I think it was a few weeks before the World War I ended, so, and the soldiers that found him dead, lying on the ground, they said that, you know, he almost looked happy that he passed away, that he is free from this hell and once again with his friends. So, overall, how would I rate this book from 1 to 10? I think it's really great, really interesting read if you are, you know, history nerd and you like learning about World War I and all that stuff. This book is a must read. It's really good, it's great, it's a true classic, and it stood the test of time. So I will give All Quiet on the Western Front a well-deserved 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. So anyway, thank you all for watching this video. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.